Okay, let's unlock something really cool today. You know how sometimes you can understand loads of English, but actually sounding natural, really getting it right, that
Mm.
can feel just a bit out of reach?
hmm
Well, this deep dive, we think it's going to be your shortcut. We're aiming to help bridge that gap.
Absolutely. We've picked out 15 really essential English phrases.
Hmm.
And our goal isn't just, defining them.
Right.
We want to dig into the nuances, the sort of unwritten rules about when and how you use them effectively.
Mm.
So you can start weaving them into your own conversations, feel more confident, and sound less like you're, translating word for word in your head.
Exactly. It's really about moving beyond just like textbook English and getting closer to how people actually talk, how they share those everyday thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
So if you're ready to maybe level up your conversational English, connect a bit more authentically, let's just dive in and really unpack these phrases.
Yeah. And what's interesting is how much weight these little phrases carry.
Hmm.
Often more than you'd think just from the words. They tap into um, shared understandings, cultural stuff in communication.
Definitely.
So let's start with one that flags up something maybe a little surprising. Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, yeah, we've all heard that. Fundamentally, it just means you're about to say something that, well, it might seem unlikely, unexpected. Like,
Right.
believe it or not, I've never actually seen snowfall.
It adds a bit of emphasis, doesn't it? Kind of invites the listener into your own surprise.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a little verbal heads up saying, okay, get ready. This might sound weird.
Yeah.
It definitely sets a different tone than just stating the facts straight out. It sort of acknowledges, hey, I know this might be hard to believe. Have you noticed, does it pop up more with certain kinds of stories?
I think it does. Often when someone's sharing a personal quirk, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or a surprising experience, something that kind of goes against what you might expect.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Okay, now, how about shifting gears? Changing the subject smoothly. Let's talk about by the way.
By the way,
Uh,
the master of the conversational detour, really.
yeah.
It lets you slide in a new piece of info, often related, but maybe not central, without, like, totally derailing things. The classic example. That movie was great. By the way, did you remember to call your mom? See? It just gently shifts focus.
It's like saying, oh, while I think of it, or on a slightly different track. It stops those really sudden topic jumps that can feel a bit awkward.
Exactly. It keeps things flowing.
So, can thinking about where someone puts by the way tell you anything? Like beginning of the sentence versus somewhere else?
Oh, that's a sharp observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting it right at the start often signals a clearer shift. Sometimes, though, people drop it in mid-sentence, more like a casual side, an afterthought.
Right.
So yeah, noticing that placement can kind of clue you in on how important or maybe how random the new information is supposed to feel. Okay, what about getting someone's attention? Check it out.
Check it out. It's direct. It's usually pretty enthusiastic. It's basically saying, hey, look at this. I think this is cool or worth noticing.
Uh-huh.
Like, check it out. My cactus finally bloomed. It captures that feeling of finding something neat and wanting to share it.
Precisely. It's an invitation, isn't it, to
Well,
share in your excitement or interest. It kind of assumes the other person will find it interesting too.
yeah, it does.
What about the tone?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't usually say, check it out in a flat voice, would you?
Definitely not. It's usually upbeat, maybe a little excited, even impressed.
Hmm.
It's about sharing something you find noteworthy. Okay, moving to something calmer. Advising caution. Easy does it.
Easy does it. Yeah, this one's all about encouraging someone to be slow, careful, gentle, especially if they're handling something fragile or doing something tricky.
Right.
Picturing someone lifting a heavy, awkward box and their friend says, whoa, easy does it. It's a gentle prompt to take care, avoid rushing.
It's like hitting a verbal slow-mo button. Good one. And you might say this to yourself too, right? Not just to other people. Oh, absolutely. If you're doing something that needs real precision or maybe just patience, you might mutter to yourself, okay, easy does it now. It's a way to kind of manage your own focus and pace.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's switch again. A phrase that brings things back down to earth, sometimes sharply. Get real.
Ooh, get real. Yeah, this one's pretty blunt. No sugarcoating is telling someone, hey, be more realistic or face the facts, especially if their ideas or plans seem, well, kind of out there.
Uh-huh.
The example, he thinks he'll win the lottery next week. He needs to get real. That really highlights the gap between, fantasy and reality.
It's a call for pragmatism, definitely. But, like we hinted, the tone here is so important. Get real can work. It can jolt someone into thinking more practically. But yeah, it can also sound pretty harsh or dismissive if you're not careful. Or are there, like, softer ways to nudge someone towards realism? Sure, you could say something like, well, that sounds ambitious, or have you thought about the practical steps involved? Maybe let's think about what's achievable first. Things like that. They get the message across without the directness of get real.
Good alternatives.
Okay, let's move to saying goodbye. A super common, friendly one. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Yeah, it's just wonderfully versatile, isn't it? Friendly, casual. It's basically short for have a good day or good evening or weekend, whatever fits.
Yeah, exact.
That little exchange. All right, see ya. Yeah, have a good one. You too. You hear it constantly.
It's almost the default casual closing, I think. You can say it to pretty much anyone, a friend, the cashier, your colleague. What makes it so popular, do you think?
I think it's that generality.
Yeah.
It's positive, it shows goodwill, but it's not too personal or too formal. It just works in so many situations. It's efficient.
Efficient goodwill. I like that. Okay, now what about when you just don't know something? The simple, direct approach. I have no idea.
I have no idea. Yep. Straight up on it, gets right to the point. It means exactly what it says. I don't possess that information.
Yeah, right.
Like, any idea when the report is due? Nope, I have no idea. Zero ambiguity there.
It is very clear. And clarity is good. But are there times when maybe that directness feels a bit abrupt? Would you ever soften it?
Yeah, you might, depending on the context. If you wanted to sound maybe a bit more helpful, you could follow it up like, I have no idea, but maybe Sarah knows. Or, I have no idea, let me check that for you.
Okay, so it's about adding something else.
Exactly. Softens the simple, I don't know. Now, shifting gears to humor, or supposed humor. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Your verbal escape hatch, right? After you say something that could be taken seriously, maybe something a bit outrageous or potentially offensive, it signals, hey, that wasn't real.
Precisely. It clarifies your non-serious intent. The example, I drank all your coffee.
Yeah.
Followed by a pause. And just kidding. The delivery is crucial there. Needs that playful tone.
Oh, absolutely. The tone is everything. Without that light, maybe slightly mischievous tone, just kidding, can fall totally flat. Or even worse, sound sarcastic or like you're trying to backtrack on something mean you actually meant.
Exactly. There's a big difference between a genuinely lighthearted tease, followed by just kidding, and maybe a passive-aggressive comment where just kidding feels like a weak attempt to soften the blow.
Yeah, context and delivery are key. Okay, how about a phrase we use when we need a moment? Let me see.
Let me see. Yeah, it's such a natural little pause filler in conversation, isn't it? It signals you're thinking, processing, maybe searching your memory, you're trying to figure something out.
Right.
Saying, let me see, where did I put those files? Sounds much more natural than just standing there in silence for 5 seconds.
Definitely. It kind of buys you a second.
It does. It functions as what linguists call a discourse marker. It shows you're engaged, you heard the question, you're just accessing the information. It keeps the conversation going. How's it different from just saying, like, or ah?
Good question. Let me see that. Feels a bit more active, like you're specifically searching or considering, or can sometimes just signal general hesitation or uncertainty, not necessarily active thought about the specific question.
Yeah, I think that's right. Let me see. Implies a task is underway in your brain. Okay, next. Cut into the chase. Make a long story short.
Make a long story short. Love this one. It's your signal that you're about to summarize, give the main points, skip all the potentially boring or lengthy detail.
Yeah.
Like, we had all sorts of travel problems, but to make a long story short, we eventually made it. It gives the outcome without the whole saga.
It's basically saying, here's the bottom line. It shows respect for the listener's time or maybe just your own energy. When is this phrase really useful?
I think it's great when you know the other person is maybe short on time or when all the intricate details just aren't relevant to the main point they need to understand. It's about being concise.
Efficient communication again.
That's-
Okay, a super common response to thanks. No problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, standard, friendly reply to thank you. Someone says, thanks for grabbing that for me, and you say, no problem. Very natural.
It implies the help given wasn't a big deal or that you were happy to do it. It kind of downplays the effort, keeps things light and positive. Are there times when maybe no problem isn't quite right? Feels a bit too casual.
Maybe. If someone did something really significant for you, like a huge favor, sometimes you're very welcome or my pleasure might feel a bit more substantial, more appreciative. But for everyday stuff, no problem is perfect.
Agreed. Okay, moving to the unexpected, out of the blue.
Out of the blue. Such a great visual phrase, isn't it? It describes something happening totally suddenly, unexpectedly, with no warning at all.
Exactly, like it just appeared from a clear blue sky. The example, he quit his job out of the blue last week, really captures that element of complete surprise.
It really emphasizes the lack of any prior sign or expectation, what other things might happen out of the blue.
Oh, lots of things. Getting an unexpected phone call from an old friend, a sudden storm on a sunny day, maybe a brilliant idea just popping into your head, anything that catches you completely off guard.
Right, the key is that lack of anticipation. Okay, now for showing agreement or shared experience, same here.
Same here. So
Yeah.
concise, so effective. It's just a quick way to say, I feel the same way, or I've had that experience
Mm.
too.
Yeah. Someone says, man, I could really use a coffee, and you reply, same here. Instant connection over a shared feeling.
Exactly. It builds rapport, shows empathy really quickly, lets the other person know, hey, you're not alone in that. How's it different from just saying, me too?
Good question. They're very, very similar, often interchangeable in casual chat. Me too is maybe slightly more common. Same here might feel a tiny bit more emphatic sometimes, like you're really identifying with the situation described. But honestly, they're pretty close.
Yeah, functionally very similar. Okay, we're getting near the end.
Oh.
A phrase for when the negotiation stops. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Ooh, this one's firm, direct. It means this is my final offer, no more discussion, no haggling.
Yep. The example, my final price is $100, take it or leave it, leaves absolutely no room for doubt. This is the deal, yes or no.
There's a definite sense of finality, isn't there? No wiggle room implied. Where would you typically hear this?
Often in buying and selling situations, definitely. Maybe haggling at a market or in business negotiations when one party feels they've reached their absolute limit, it sets a very clear boundary.
Right, it signals the end of the bargaining.
Hmm.
Okay, last one. Absolutely crucial for understanding. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Yes, so important for clear communication. If someone says something that's vague, ambiguous, or just confusing, asking, what do you mean, is the essential next step.
Uh-huh.
It prompts them to explain, to elaborate, and it helps head off misunderstandings before they start.
Yeah.
That example, I think we need a different approach. What do you mean? That follow it is natural and often necessary.
It really shows you're listening actively and you actually want to understand properly. It encourages the speaker to be clearer, more specific, helps get everyone on the same page. Don't be afraid to use this one.
Absolutely. Clarity is key.
So there we go, 15 essential English phrases. We've gone a bit beyond just the dictionary definitions, hopefully.
Yeah, try to get into the feel of them.
And understanding these nuances, the when and the how, we really think that can significantly boost your confidence, help you sound more natural, more fluent when you're speaking English day to day.
It's quite insightful, isn't it, how these seemingly small units of language do so much work in shaping the feel and the effectiveness of a conversation. By tuning into them, you're really unlocking a deeper layer of how native speakers connect and share meaning.
Totally agree. So the challenge for you now, the listener, is to really start noticing these. Actively listen for them in conversations you overhear in movies, TV shows, podcasts. Notice the context, who's saying it, the tone they use, how it fits in. And then maybe this week, try consciously using one or two that are new to you or that you haven't used much before.
Yeah, experiment a little.
You might actually be surprised how integrating even just one or two can subtly shift how your interactions feel. Paying attention to these little building blocks really can open up a richer grasp of the language.
And it makes you wonder, too, as language constantly evolves, do the subtle meanings and uses of these common phrases shift over time as well? It's something interesting to keep in mind as you continue learning.
That is a fascinating thought. Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for diving deep with us today.